Shri Harsh Gupta is deeply engaged in an important intellectual exercise that articulates the synergy between public policy, free enterprise, geoeconomics, and India's civilizational perspective. He is a contemporary commentator who has highlighted how Dharma lays emphasis on creating wealth with limited but important expectations from the state, thus negating the false impression that Hinduism is against wealth creation. This precocious and prolific commentator has co-authored two influential books. The first is a book on financial derivatives published by Cambridge University Press, and the second is the energetic and scholarly work, A New Idea of India, Individual Rights in a Civilizational State, being republished by Penguin. It explores the interlinkages of ancient and modern, conservative and liberal, heterodox and orthodox, including economics. He's currently writing his third book on the India growth story and has penned dozens of interventions over the years. We request Secretary of Orwell Foundation, Dr. Jayanti Ravi, to come on stage to present the Dr. B.R Shenoy Award for Economics. We request Shri Gupta Madhusudan to come and receive the award. For his scholarly interventions in the area of Dharma and economics, SMaRT and Swarajya, I am pleased to present Shri Gupta with the Dr. B.R Shenoy Award for Economics, instituted in honor of India's bravest free market economist who dared to challenge Nehruvian socialism. We request Harshji to please say a few words.
To the organizer. Hello, yeah. A very good evening to the organizers, Parthaji, Alopal, Ajit, the friends from Swarajya, the guests, and distinguished dignitaries like Shopanda and others who I know here. This is a bit like an American president getting a Nobel Prize for peace, given more in anticipation for future delivery than for any past performance. Being fully aware of this paradox, I, with great hesitation, with sincere humility, I had conveyed it to the Swarajya team as well. Genuine hesitation, I accept this award. It is one of the great ironies of life that less than 20 years ago, I dropped out of IIT Delhi. I said I do not want to study engineering, I want to study economics. My parents were not convinced. At least I have something to tell to them now. On a very serious note, you know, the beauty of these Lit Fests, and I'm very privileged to be here again. I was here at the last physical Lit Fest in 2019. Economics sometimes is seen as in a technocratic corner. You know, we will talk about important ideas of politics, spirituality, but economics is something that the technocrats will execute, and then milk and honey will flow down from it, and accordingly power will increase. I'm here to humbly submit that is not how it is. All of social studies are a holistic integration. We falsely call it social science. There's a lot of math and physics envy. But in a more honest stage, it was called political economy, not economics. For example, Arthashastra, written by Kautilya, actually in conventional modern terms does not have as much economics as the title would indicate. It was basically a manual of policy and statecraft. Coincidentally, the year that Arthashastra was rediscovered, remember it was lost for 800 years. The year Arthashastra was rediscovered, that is 1905, was the year that Bellikot Raghunath Shenoy ji was born, 1905. Dr. B.R Shenoy was one of those men of unbeatable steel fiber in their bodies. In 1955, the Avdi session of the Congress Party took place and they decided to lead India on a socialistic path. 1956, the second plan was adopted. There was only one economist who wrote a note of dissent on that plan, saying this will lead to ruin, and that was Dr. B.R. Shenoy. Dr. B.R. Shenoy, Rajaji, another great person from this land and the inspiration for Swarajya magazine, and many other free market intellectuals at that point were heterodox. They were not part of the orthodoxy. Unfortunately, we lost many decades in trying to suppress wealth creation in this country as opposed to building the basics that we are building now. Roads, schools, canals, basic education. Instead of doing that, we immediately got onto the path of saying that person cannot be rich. I will control him, I being the bureaucrat or the politician. And of course, that bureaucrat or politician got rich. So B.R. Shenoy wrote against, said, interventionism is the root cause of corruption. That does not mean interventionism has not to be there. Dr. B.R. Shenoy, like Buddha himself used to say, do not believe anything I say, think for yourself. In one important way, in some of my interventions, in my books and columns and videos, one way where I have disagreed from free market orthodoxy of late was because of circumstances, is on unfettered trade policy. That is because of the rise of China, communist China, which has not followed market principles and has deliberately swarmed our competition. So this shows that even in a good field, we have to constantly keep on thinking. In that sense, it is a science. It is a science in the sense that you have to have the scientific method. That if something empirically does not flow from your hypothesis, you have to correct your hypothesis, not the data. In that sense, it is falsifiable. But it is not a science like physics. It is very important to see economics in relation to society as well. Our original Vedic vision was very much a modern one, a vision where we had division of labor. For various circumstances, in the intervening centuries, we had a division of laborers. Now, with modern economics, we are going back to a division of labor, where people, according to their inclination, according to their talents, so long as they're given apt opportunity, can contribute best to the country. Why? Because that helps us grow rich. And why is growing rich? Because somehow growing rich in itself does not sound like a very appealing title to all of us. It sounds somehow very shallow, sounds very bourgeois. It's very important because as the gentleman who I'm so honored to be here with, Mr. Vijay Kumarji said, for 4 years he has been going after, just in this one particular case, nations in the West, to get our murtis back. Of course, if our ministers and our state apparatus cooperate, it will be faster. It would also help if we were richer. It would also help a lot if we were stronger. When a rich and strong person speaks, he does not need to repeat it. When a less rich and less strong country speaks, he can continue repeating it, won't make a difference. Right now, in our own neighborhood, especially of Tamil Nadu, we are seeing what is happening in Sri Lanka. We are seeing what is happening in Pakistan. Even Bangladesh has approached IMF. This shows the importance of good economic policies. In a democracy, thank God we are a democracy, we're not a technocratic dictatorship. It shows the importance of communicating those good economic policies. For example, the farm laws had to be taken back. As the Prime Minister himself said, there were good steps, but I'm taking them back. There was a failure of communication. Maybe we will do it again. Maybe this time we will say that we have only so many tax rupees for every state to do procurement, and therefore there will be pressure on the states from below to reform. But the process of communicating economic reforms, which is what? Which is incentives. If a teacher in a government school cannot be fired and cannot be promoted either, why will he or she teach well? But the same teacher in a private school at half a salary teaches much better to the same student. So we do not have the luxury of wasting taxpayer rupees, and we do not have the luxury of further slowing down our growth. We must become the world's largest economy, just like next year we will become the world's largest country. That is not an ambitious aim. That is simply making sure that every Indian is about the same as every human being. With that thought, I close my comments here. Jai Hind, Bharat Mata ki Jai. Thank you.